Bob Hamburger, Linda Karpiak, and Ginny Leffler. We also have Rich Bermeo and Sharon Gruber, but they aren't able to be here. They are far afield, out of state and out of country. So, but we're very lucky to have such an active and amazing board. I also want to introduce our staff. We have Donna McCallie-Holly, our we have Holly Odgers. There she is. She initially was our managing director when she came in and filled in for us, but we're kind of transitioning her into communications director now. So that's kind of have dual, whatever. I'll go back and forth these days. But and then Roberta Schmidt is our development director. She was brand new at this time last year, but she's now got a year under her belt. So, and then, as you know, I'm the president, Jess Murphy. I do want to take a moment to thank Ron Krause in the back there. When you look around this building, if you have any questions about it, you can ask Ron, because he has literally been here for everything that has happened to this building since we purchased it. He's been the volunteer project manager for this train station project, and I can't say enough wonderful things. And while I'm thanking Ron, I also wanted to thank the block party team, which includes his wife Barb, who's sitting next to me. Beth Barras, who's out there. And everybody knows Captain Lee Moreau. There are so many people in this room I can thank and recognize for a lot of reasons, but that block party team has been in full, high gear for a long time now, and we are just over a week away, and it is going to be, I don't even know what I should say. It is, it's going to be amazing. We bought extra tents to block the intense sun that's going to be hitting everybody at the block party this year. So, but thank you, and thank you all for being here this evening. Like I said, it's the 7th one. We've been in a lot of different places. We were here once before, and I put some pictures up from that one. If you look on the board there, if you get a chance, you can see the plaster crumbling around everyone, and it's very nice to look at this space now and see how far we've come. Let me find my little thing here. Okay, so I already did the introductions, but here's our agenda for the evening. We're going to talk a little bit about milestones that are taking place right now. We'll look back at what's happened since we last met, and then look ahead again. And we'll talk a little bit about events, and then we'll have time for questions and answers. If you have any questions along the way, if it's super urgent and it's going to totally confuse, or I said something wrong, you can maybe raise your hand, but really love for all the questions to come at the end, because I might need to ask somebody else in the room to help me answer it, and it'd be kind of easier to do that. Plus, sooner we can get to me not having to talk your ears off. And if you can't tell, the restrooms are in the back, and we also, as you know, have food and drink here. If you need a break and want to go get a little sugar, that's totally fine. Feel free to get up, and I won't be offended. I know it's a little tough to do anything discreetly in this room between the echoes and the way the space is laid out, but feel free to go ahead. And then if you have any questions at the end and you don't want to kind of raise your hand and ask it to everybody, you're welcome to come chat with me, any of the staff, any of the board. We'd be happy to answer your questions. So let's move along here. All right, so 2019. Doesn't even sound like a real year to me still, but 2019 is a year of new beginnings for us. Like I said, we're seven years old, so we are a first grader, basically. We also could talk about it being the 7-year itch, but either way, there's lots of change that's taking place. As many of you know, I was pregnant with my son when we started this foundation in 2012, so it's always funny to think of the age of this organization kind of in concert with the age of my son, and all the changes that have gone through his life, and meanwhile we have so many changes going on here. Part of this year, obviously we're in our new home. We have a new vision statement, a new strategic plan, and a new logo that you're all going to see in a minute. So I will kind of start to introduce you to some of these new things, as you know, because that place looks familiar, right? So a nicer day. So we have our new address here, 125 Landing Road. May is Historic Preservation Month, so it's fitting that we're here today. We purchased the building in 2014. We had that annual meeting that the pictures are there for, was in 2015. I have to give a ton of credit to Donna. I don't know where there she is, okay, who is our grants director, and she, because of her efforts and the efforts of Marty and a number of other, our historical architects and our contractor, we have raised, Donna, this has been Donna's baby. She's raised over $1 million in grant money for the purchase and restoration. Specifically, that includes over $550,000 from Morris County, plus $192,000 for the acquisition from Morris County, $409,000 from the New Jersey Historic Preservation Trust, $43,000 from the 1772 Foundation, $15,000 from the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and $10,000 from Hyde and Watson Foundation. So altogether, the grant money comes out, if you include the acquisition money from Morris County, it comes to $1.22 million, and that's grant money that is specifically earmarked for state, county, and from state, county, and private foundations for historic preservation. So it's, when you hear that, don't think, oh, they could have used that money to do water quality work or whatever. That's money that's been earmarked for historic preservation, and we were really lucky to be able to get it here. Coming up here, we still have a little ways to go. You might have noticed that this part of this room doesn't exactly look finished, so we're looking forward to hopefully having a matching door when we get the grant money for that, to match the front door back there and to do some patio work and landscaping. As many of you are aware, we have the landing bridge project coming down the pike that will replace this bridge over the train tracks, and we're going to lose some of our property when they do that, but that'll also be an opportunity for us to kind of fix up our parking lot and everything, but we're kind of waiting. We don't want to do all that work and then watch it get ripped up. So we still have a little ways to go, but we're well on our way, and a couple of the pictures that are on that thing I'm putting up here, you can see these were from our annual meeting 4 years ago, and then this is pictures that Donna just took last week of the same space. Marty, I feel like you're on a mission in that.
I had more hair back.
Yeah. So just to see where we've come. So that's, it's very nice to see. Sometimes I look at the old one, I'm like, I can't believe the building was standing around us. Okay, so one of the things that we did in our strategic planning effort over the last year was we had focus groups. We had like last spring and summer, some of you might have participated in them. Our board and staff also came together over a couple meetings to discuss where we see the organization going in the near future and in the long term. We used to have a very simple mission statement. It was dedicated to the improvement of Lake Hopatcong for all, now and in the years to come. And we decided we kind of needed to review that and kind of look at it in a little bit of a different way. We decided to create a vision statement. Like, the vision is kind of the whole pie, and then your mission statement is kind of your piece of the pie. So the vision is kind of what you want to see. What you want to see the lake basically be, which is, for us, we decided a vibrant and healthy Lake Hopatcong and its surrounding community. Mission statement, which kind of takes that full pie and figures out what our piece of it is. And so this is our mission statement that we crafted. I won't read it out to you, you can see it, but I do want to point out a few things because we really wanted to home in on what our role is here at the lake. There are a lot of organizations doing a lot of great things, and what part of it do we play? And so we wanted to make sure to include the idea of both the lake environment and the lake experience, because we think those are equally important to, although I always say if you don't have a healthy lake environment, then what are we doing here? So obviously you want the environment to be healthy, but you also want the experience to, you want people to be able to experience the lake and enjoy it as a recreational resource. We wanted to, explain, we bring together public and private resources. We always talk about how we're kind of based on the Central Park Conservancy model, where it's a public resource, but you have a nonprofit that can come in and do great things. Talked about the culture of sustainability. Sustainability can mean a lot of things. A lot of people think of it in the context of the environment, but it's also, if you don't feel safe, that's not sustainable either. So thinking of ways that we can make sure we have a culture of sustainability on the lake, and then stewardship is kind of related to our individual and collective roles in making sure that that the lake is what is the best it can be. Obviously, it's always good to throw in that we're New Jersey's largest lake, And then, you know, we obviously want to make sure it's the best it can be for today, but we always like to look forward generations so that my kids and their kids and their kids can all enjoy the lake the way that we've been able to. So that's our mission statement. I apologize, this picture was taken just before we added a few people to our board. We need to do an updated picture, but we also talked about our values. And there are certain values that every organization should have, and you don't want to have it seem too trite, but at the same time, it's always good to kind of talk about it and articulate what you want your values of your organization to be. And so we kind of talked about what we wanted to make sure when we're making decisions, we want to be able to fall back on what we decide our values are. And so collaboration is one, where we operate in a way that brings people together throughout the community. So much of what we talk about is that it's 4 towns and 2 counties and can feel very scattered. And the more we can bring people together to do things, the better. Action is kind of with this idea that we're committed to our mission and we want to move quickly to take on projects that have an impact on and around the lake. I think that the number of projects that we've taken on in our 7 years, it kind of displays that. Sustainability, once again, we are forward thinking when making decisions, taking future generations into account when considering projects and initiatives. Warmth, so it seemed kind of silly, but you want to be a friendly face to the community and show the best of ourselves and bring out the best in the people of Lake Hopatcong. So that's what we kind of decided to articulate for our values. So our strategic plan is, we kind of sat together, we took the feedback we got from our focus groups, and we created 5 internal goals and 7 external goals. And an example of the internal goals are expanding our donor reach, self-sufficient educational programs, developing key performance indicators. And so within those we have 33 objectives for 2019 and 20 objectives for 2020 to 2022. So we wanted to kind of put specific goals for ourselves, specific objectives for us to try to achieve so that we don't just kind of end up sitting back and letting that strategic plan sit on a shelf and not be constantly reevaluated. And so an example, when we, one of our goals is to make educational programming more self-sufficient. A 2019 objective within that is having at least 8 paying school districts in the 2019 field trip program, which we actually have achieved. But our 2020 to 2022 objective is to cover the cost of an educational specialist with grant money. So we're hoping to be able to have somebody who is on staff helping to run our educational program. So that's just an example of one of those internal goals that we created. And I won't go into all of them because that would take forever. But that's an example of the internal ones. And then we have our external goals, which similarly we had 31 objectives for this year within those goals and 28 objectives going forward beyond that. So one of those goals is expand our educational programming. So a 2019 objective was to schedule 12 class trip dates at Hopatcong State Park this year, which we did. But a 2020 to 2022 objective, these do not sound like years to me, it just sounds crazy, is K through 12 floating classroom lesson plans established. Right now we're at 4th and 5th grade, but we'd like to go beyond that. We want to create educational displays in the train station foyer. That's another, like in this area here, that's another one of our educational objectives. Another goal is to think big and innovative with water quality solutions for Lake Hopatcong. So an objective for this year is to spearhead a municipal review of stormwater ordinances. And then a longer term goal is to establish boat wash stations at Lee's Park and Hopatcong State Park. This might seem very general, but a goal for, one of our goals is to improve safety at the lake. So one of our 2019 objectives is to expand our dock mover program to 40% of lakefront properties. We're at 37% right now. So it's starting to get a little tough, but we're hoping this year we can push that up. All right, so now the fun one. We have our old logo, which I know is very familiar. It has served us well. It feels very secure. But it's not the most vibrant. It kind of looks like people who work at a place like that just sit in an office and don't do a lot. I should also say I created it, so I can bash this as much as I want. And I have 0 graphic design experience, so I feel like it's okay for me to bash it. I think it served us well. I think a lot of people will recognize it, and I'm glad we had that for a while we had it. But after a lot of feedback, a lot of very mixed messages that we gave to Holly in our office, and kind of like this, we kind of like this, maybe a little more movement, maybe a little less this. She created, dun, 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 our new logo. So, yay. So Holly did an amazing job. Like I said, we gave her lots of feedback. back. It still includes the three colors, the green, the dark blue, and the light blue. We have the words written out so that it's not, people know exactly where we are if they don't know LH, they know Lake Hopatcong. It has a little more movement to it with the waves and the kind of the hill and the waves below, and we figured it was less ocean looking if you have that hill, that green kind of hump going in there. I think one thing too about the old logo is it was kind of similar to the Lake Hopatcong Commission logo and whatnot, so we're kind of trying to distinguish ourselves a little bit more as well. So this is the new logo. You'll start seeing this on things going forward. There's still some vestiges of the old logo probably appearing for a while, but this is what we have now. So now, look back at what we've been up to since the last time we all gathered here. We tend to divide our efforts up into these pillars, but they very much overlap. So there are things that could fit in that can check multiple boxes, but these are our kind of pillars here. So we have the environment. We have our water scouts. Water scouts pulled 55 plants with the help of our 26 water scouts pulled 55 water chestnut plants last summer, which is encouraging that we got them, not only that we got them out, but that's a lower number than we took out in the past. So that means that, that our water scouts and our teams are doing a great job of getting them out before they drop a lot of seeds, because we were well over 100 plants in the past. So they're continuing to keep an eye. If you want to be one of those paddlers who goes around and is on the lookout for water chestnuts, please reach out to us. We'd love to have you. We have our lake stewards who last summer educated 305 recreational lake users about the importance of proper vessel maintenance to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species on Lake Hopatcong. Of those interviewed, 70% expressed interest in learning more about aquatic invasive species prevention. I probably should explain, for those who don't know, the lake stewards are at Lee's County Park, and when boats are launching for fishing tournaments and whatnot, our lake stewards interview them. They talk to them about how not to spread invasive species if they bring their boat from one body of water to another, and we try to collect information about where they came from so we can see where a lot of, if there's a lot of people coming from one particular lake that has one specific invasive species, we know to keep an eye out for that. And so we're planning on continuing that again this summer. And then we had the lake-wide cleanup. How many people participated in November in the lake-wide cleanup, pulling debris? Thank you, you guys are all awesome. We partnered with the Lake Hopatcong Commission on that, and more than 400 volunteers logged in excess of 1,200 hours collecting debris from more than 50 access points around the lake. The debris collected included 4,000 drink containers, 300 plastic bags, 175 toys, 150 articles of clothing, and more than 800 tires. So I would say this is like this weird thing where you're really excited that you got all that stuff out of there, but it's pretty depressing that it was in there to begin with. And we were kind of hoping it would be a kind of pathetic haul this year because we just did it 5 years earlier, but oh well. But the removal of the debris was handled by the Departments of Public Works in all 4 towns around the lake, and then Bridgestone took the tires for their recycling program. So that was a great event for us, and it's another 5 years we'll be doing it again. I guess 4.5 years now we can be doing it again. But it's great. It's because of all the work of those volunteers. It's nice to know that the lake is in much better shape to start this season than it apparently was to end last season. All right, safety. We are continuing the partnership with New Jersey State Police and Morris County Sheriff's Office to fund additional patrol hours on weekends and evenings when they would otherwise not have coverage. Last year we funded 239 additional hours. And we only pay for the state trooper on the boat. The Morris County Sheriff's Office donates the time, or not donates, but allocates the time to the, at no cost to us. They put a sheriff's officer on the boat with the state trooper, and our local elected officials were able to arrange it so we didn't pay a vessel fee for the boat either. Do I have that right, Tom?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. As I mentioned before, we're up to 37% of dock number coverage around the lake. Our goal is to hit 40% this year, so if you are around the lake and you see a friend of yours who lives on the lake doesn't have one, please let them know. If you buy it by June 15th, we'll have it to you by the middle of July. We're trying to do one bulk order if possible. In terms of support of emergency services, we made a sizable contribution toward the new Jefferson Fireboat, which launched earlier this spring, and so it's good to see that out on the water. We also conducted, I shouldn't say we, because I was not a part of this. This was like Marty's, I don't know, Marty and his team of volunteers. Like I know Larry, you were part of it. The courtesy patrols. They conducted 16 days of courtesy patrols on busy summer weekends to help encourage lake users to be aware of how best to share the lake while enjoying it. A lot of that was geared toward Byram Cove, but we created a set of guidelines to really, that can be used throughout the lake, but it seems like it has particular resonance there. And so they were able to get out there last summer and let people know how best to share the water. All right, so we have our field trips. Our education part, but our field trips. We had 800 students come through our field trip program in 2018. That is expanding to 1,200 this year. We have the floating classroom, which you can see the picture of there, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. We also have the kids get down in the Musconetcong River and collect little critters to determine the health of the water down there. They do an EnviroScape watershed model, and we do a nature hike where we talk about the importance of trees and vegetation in the health of the lake. That program has grown a lot, pretty rapidly. I guess I've got a number of people who are part of it right here, and it's we're excited. This year is a little overwhelming to imagine we're going to have 1,200 students come through in just a few weeks, but it should be great. We also have, last summer we had 159 people come through our public excursion cruises, and you are invited to join us this year if you haven't been on it. So it's a 90-minute excursion on the floating classroom where you do Secchi discs and dissolved oxygen meters and all kinds of stuff. The same things that the field trip kids do, but it's a little bit more leisurely. It's over 90 minutes instead of 40. And we partnered with one summer camp last year, but we have 3 partnerships with summer camps in the works for this summer. And I'm hoping that this is going to work with the video. Let's see. Oh no. Apparently not. I know I'm stuck. Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to go right to community and skip the, let's see. Can I get that to work? Hold on 1 second. This is a little video, so you can not hear me talk for a second. And that Glide by JJ did of our classroom. We'll see if that works. Okay. It'll do its thing. It's just a little taste. You also got a break from my voice for a second because I don't usually do this whole meeting. All right. So moving on to our next. So the floating classroom. I know last year you were all here. We launched it for the first time. We christened it and smashed champagne and all that good stuff. So it's had a great first year, and we're excited to expand it for this year. For the community, we always talk about how we try to bring together the community. We have 4 towns, 2 counties, and the block party, which we mentioned before, it's 1 week away. I don't even know what to say. I'm always afraid to jinx. I don't know if I should say it's going to be beautiful, or if I should say I don't think I have that much control over it. But it is a great day. We have about 200 vendors.